Smith and I, it's the first time we'd played together as a centre backs. Together was the final. And he talked me through the whole game. He was absolutely sensational. For me, he was the man of the match, without a shadow of a doubt. He set up 2 of the goals.
What was his celebrations like afterwards?
Well, Davey's just a big quiet lad. You had an orange juice, I think, in the bath, and that was him. He was quite happy. Because Aberdonian, I'm just a miserable bugger anyway. You know?
Yeah, well, actually, is the famous picture of he's all in that bath, and we've got the cup there.
Can you imagine that nowadays? You're not allowed to do that nowadays. We used to have the big bath here at Ibrox, and honestly, after 16 people were in it, it was like treacle. Can you imagine that? Oh, it's now all individual baths now. It's sensational now. Rightly so.
That's a lovely thought, that.
I know.
Taking out the cup final goal, of course, it was your first goal for the club, I'm sure. What was your favourite goal? Out of all the goals you've scored, there's quite a lot.
Yeah, I remember saying that in the park. I think every goal I scored against Celtic's a great goal. Whether it's a tap-in or a 30-yarder, just to beat them and score a goal is fantastic. I mean, we're not obsessed by Celtic. I mean, they're there. They're our big enemies as such. So to go in there was always a battle, and individually it was a battle. I mean, Roy Aitken and I used to have some kicking matches off the ball, never mind on the ball. But I think any time I scored against them and we won it, I mean, what a great weekend we had after that. Wonderful.
I wanted to go. You played up front for the club, and you also played in defence. I'm actually wanting to ask you, what do you think would be the key qualities in a modern day defender now? What do you think?
I was hoping McCoist was going to be here, because it's all right him scoring 300 goals, but he never played at centre back or in midfield. And I never took penalties either.
Well, I was going to say Tavernier's got a lot of goals for a right back.
But that's what gets me nowadays, when you get kids saying, "Oh, I can't play centre mid, I'm a right mid, or I'm a left mid," or that. In our day, I was just grateful to get a game. And that's why he said to me one day, "Can you play defence?" I said, "I'll have a go." And I did quite well. And then he said to me, "Can you play in midfield?" At least it's giving you 3 choices of getting a game. And that's the way I looked at it. It wasn't a case of, "I can't play there." Just go out and play. Do your best. That's all you can do.
Someone actually mentioned today we'd actually fancy seeing Andy Halliday up front. But we're having a problem with, obviously, the forwards today, but I'm pretty sure...
Andy Halliday up front?
Yes.
Are you a football fan, are you?
No, but hold on. Where is he? It wasn't me that said that.
I can tell you,
he just played everywhere.
I can tell you that Lafferty is fit, and so is Defoe anyway. I'm sure Laff's on the bench and Defoe starts. I'm sure that is the case. Anyway.
That's an exclusive for you. Who would be your favourite?
You never heard it from me, by the way.
If you were the manager of the club right now, who would be your favourite back two?
My favourite back two? You mean centre backs?
Yeah, centre backs, yeah.
I think it's a difficult one. I mean, people keep saying he keeps changing all the time, but there's nobody consistent enough that's playing well. I would always have Golston there, to be fair, and then another. I mean, Joe Worrell gets stick. He gets stick for the daft goal that he gave away, but the last 3 games he's played, he's been outstanding, which tells me a lot. You know, it doesn't get into his head that he's made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes, but when it causes a goal, then that's a bigger mistake. But I think it's hard to get a back two with the players that we've got, and I think that's a manager's problem as well. It's who's playing well at the time basically gets a game.
I'm pretty sure most of you out there probably watched the under-17s yesterday.
Oh,
yeah. A big round of applause. Of course, the under-17s, the Alcast Cup. Did you manage to catch a game?
But you know what? I watched the whole of the semi-final, and I thought we were outstanding in the semi-final. I mean, we've got 2 or 3 players in there that are going to be big time. They're only 16, but when was the last 16-year-old to do well at this club? You know, if you're old enough, you know, you're good enough. And I'll tell you what, there was a few on that side that looked the part anyway. Well done to the kids anyway. Brilliant. What a result.
I think...
Absolutely. First trophy we won for a wee while.
It looks like the World Cup.
One of the many.
It looks like the World Cup. I was looking at the trophy and I thought, is that the World Cup?
I just loved the way they celebrated after the game. I thought that's the way it should be. That's what this club's all about, winning. Well, second's no use here. We all know that. We've got to start winning. We won't be back until we pick up a trophy. It's as simple as that.
It just actually shows you what the future's going to be like for Rangers if we've got teams like that taking on the big guns. You know, we've got the young players there that are looking to push for the first team.
I think the great thing for this club is getting the manager in and his background staff. I mean, I've spoken to them many times, and what you see is what you get from Steven Gerrard. He hasn't arrived at this club giving it, "Oh, this is a massive club." He's come from a massive club, so it's nothing surprising to him or McAllister. So they've come in here, and it's a case of getting their thoughts into the heads of players that you have to win every game here, not just play on the 29th of December against Celtic, play them off the park and beat them. You have to do that every week against everybody, because every game's a cup final for this club.
Right, okay, so that's the end of my questions right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out with a microphone and I'm going to tell you get to mention your names. You want to go first? Yeah,
This is like Radio Clyde again, isn't it?
Except there's no Celtic fans phoning in to talk about Rangers.
Even the Celtic fans want to talk about Rangers. Super scoreboard, right?
Aye. How can you sit there and not say, hi, my name's John, I'm a Celtic supporter, but I'm here to talk about Rangers.
Yeah, and I do tell them that, don't worry about it.
How do you keep the heat?
I think when it goes to a break.
Yeah, come over there in a sec. What's your name and what's your question?
Hi, my name's Michael. Afternoon, Derek.
Hi, Michael.
Derek, as a big striker, and if you could choose anybody to supply the ball, Brian Laudrup or Davy Cooper?
Oh, I think there's only one Davy Cooper for me. Without a shadow. It's a question I'm often asked, who's the best player you've ever played with, which is difficult because there were so many great players. I mean, Greggy was the greatest ever Ranger. Sandy Jardine, Wooly Johnston, Colin Steen, I think they were all fantastic. But for me, when we were in trouble, we gave the ball to Coop and he just took it for a walk for 20 minutes. For me, Davy Cooper is the best player I've ever played, without a shadow of a doubt.
What's your name and question?
Ian. Derek, it's much publicised back in the 1972 Cup final because of the fan invasion that the trophy was.
Was it an invasion?
The trophy was presented to the players on the park. Did that at all spoil it for the players on the night?
It did because what we wanted to do was run around the stadium with a cup, as every team wants to do, but obviously there was a problem there. And Greggy tells a great story. Greggy was put into a room, 3 yards by 4 yards, and there was 10 people in the room, and the boy gave him the trophy. I virtually threw it at John. He says, there it is, away you go. And that's how we were presented with the trophy, which was ridiculous. We waited all these years to win it, and that's what happened. He came back into the dressing room. We were all in the bath, and he just threw the cup in the bath, and we all jumped in, and that was it. Just enjoyed ourselves after that. But it was a disappointment. We weren't able to run around the pitch with it, yeah.
I'm Brian. Hi, Derek.
Hi, Brian.
Derek, you were one of the best players to go to the World Cup and never get a game in Argentina. How was that news broken to you, and how did you feel about it at the time? And looking back on it, how do you feel about it?
Next question. That was a huge disappointment, to go to a World Cup, which was fantastic, and not get a game. Ali, basically the bottom line is Ali didn't like me. I'd scored 41 goals that season, probably wasn't enough for him. And, he had his pals, like Joe Harper, who was my pal, who he coached at Aberdeen, got on before me. And Joe never even had a sniff, for a couple of years. It was disappointing, but listen, at the end of the day, it's his choice. There was no guarantees I was going to get a game. I was happy being there, but I would have loved it had I taken part for 10 minutes in a World Cup. I was really gutted. And to make it even worse, when I came back, I got married 2 weeks later. Sorry, darling, sorry.
What's your name and question?
Derek, hello.
Hello.
Billy, what was it like when you come back to this famous stadium in 1972 with that cup?
You know the strange thing about that is we came back and we're on the back of a coal lorry. I never read any sides on it. It was a coal lorry we came back on, and it was absolutely bucketing down the rain that day. There's maybe about 40,000 in there. And the one thing I remember from that is we were coming round on the track. There was one man standing at the Rangers end here on his own, and he was clapping, and he was absolutely soaking wet, and it was Bobby Shearer.
Oh.
Bobby Shearer, one of the great Rangers players, was standing on his own, took time out to come from Hamilton to see the players coming back. I thought that was fantastic. But that was great. Apart from it being pissing a rain, it was lovely, yeah.
He's here to apologise.
He set me up, I don't know what he said, but what I was going to ask you, I did some digging last night. You started for
You're a gardener.
We've had one of them here already, it didn't work out. I did some digging last night. You started for Rangers wearing shirt numbers 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, as well as the siblings. They were big
It must have been
jerseys.
some size. Eh?
So it could be quite easy for. You started in defence, you moved up front, and you were used around the park quite a bit. Is there anybody you think here today could be classed as a utility player that could fill as many positions? I don't know. He's obviously set me
Is
up.
that when you brought that up, Andy?
No, the other thing is with Lee McCulloch played a hell of a lot of positions in here as well. But
You know,
since
it's
then,
amazing. The only number that I never wore for Rangers was 3.
7. And 7.
No, I did wear 7 at one stage. And when we were over in Canada, after the season finished. Big Peter and Stuart Kennedy were injured, and I played in goals in one of the friendly games as well. So I think number 3, maybe 7. I was sure I wore a 7.
Couldn't find the
But
7.
it was a 3 definitely that I never wore.
So
I don't know, I think it's difficult nowadays. As I said earlier, people are set on, I'm a midfielder, I'm centre mid, I'm a full-back. Nobody wants to try and play anywhere else. And
But would managers let
Andy
them?
Halliday has done that, you're right, because he is a midfielder, but he can play left-back, and he's done well at left-back. But he's one of the very few that would do that.
You did set me up, didn't you?
Why would they do that? Next question, who have we got? Right, we've got one here and then we'll go over there.
Come on, it's nearly half-time.
We're only 3-0 up. Right, what's your name and question?
We'll get right.
Hi Derek, my name's Robert.
Hello, Robert.
You mentioned there about Stuart Kennedy.
Yes.
I watched Stuart Kennedy in the reserves, and I thought Stuart Kennedy was probably one of the best goalkeepers
Terrific,
ever.
yeah.
And do you think that him when he went and played for England and Big Hammered that kind of destroyed his career to a degree?
It wasn't far away from it, you're right. We won the treble that year, and Stuart Kennedy was absolutely outstanding. We'll go to Wembley, he loses 5 goals. But what people tend to forget as well, there was 3 of them defensive mistakes. He might have been at fault for one of the goals, but he gets slaughtered after that. We went to Australia after that, and I always remember we're out training on the pitch just before it, and the boy was commentating said, yes, and in goals for Rangers this afternoon, Stuart Kennedy, who had an absolute nightmare against England a few weeks ago, lost 5 goals. Well, big Jock Wallace was standing, and Jock went up the stairs, and you can hear him grabbing this boy by the throat as he apologised. Well, I apologise for that. Big Jock had him by the throat. But that's what happened with Big Stuart. I didn't think he played as well after that. I think it really did get to him, but you're right, I think he was one of the better Rangers goalkeepers. Him and Big McCloy I think they played the same amount of games that season. That was the good thing then. You had 2 great goalkeepers. One had a nightmare, just one game he was out, and then the other one came in, which should be the case anyway.
What's your name and question?
Charlie's my name. Derek,
Charlie.
you were only 16 when you first played for Rangers.
So they tell me, yeah.
So you tell me. And I don't remember you getting sent off, but maybe you did at some stage. But
I did.
Alfredo Morelos is just a few years older. What advice would you give to him to try and avoid the kind of sending offs that he's encountered?
I would just put elastoplast over his mouth. I think it's difficult. I remember speaking to the manager about it, and he says where he comes from in Colombia, he says it's just how it is out there. I mean, you're bullied all the time. Every youngster's bullied. And if somebody hits you, the first thing you've got to do is hit them back. If not, then you're bullied for the rest of your life. And that's what's in his head. He's brought that with him, and it's something that the manager's at him every day. You know, to talk to him, saying you can't do that. You're no use to us in the stand. You've scored 23 goals. I want you to get 43 goals. You're not going to do that of 8 or 10 games a season. You're sitting in the stand. I think the players that are alongside him have got to look after him as well. As soon as they sense something's wrong with him, I think they get over and get him away. He's going to have to do that because he's a smashing player, as we all know. And as the manager says, if he wants to move on in a year's time or whatever, down south or wherever, he'll go for big money, but not if he's going to be in the stand for a quarter of the season. He's just got to try and buckle down a bit.
Right, next question, what's your name and what's your question?
It's Laurie V. Denniston.
Laurie V. Denniston.
My name's Ryan. My name's Ryan. One, how do you put up with Hugh Keevins? And 2, you see that people say that managers then, like Jock Wallace, couldn't he be managers now? How true is that?
It's right true about Jock. I mean, Jock used to grab you by the throat. Managers just can't do that nowadays. I mean, if you came in at half time when you were a goal down, I'll tell you, there was a game out there we played against Celtic, and he says to me, I'm playing you centre half today. He says they've got a big Icelandic striker, Johannes Edvaldsson. The older ones will remember this big lad. He's about 6'3". He says, I want you to look after him today because he's good in the air. I went, right boss, no problem. So we've gone out, we've come in at half time, we're 2-0 down, and Edvaldsson scored 2. So he comes right over to me, and honestly, he grabbed me by the throat and threw me down on the seat. He says, I give you one thing to do and you've ballsed it up. He says, get yourself up the park, never mind you want to be a centre half, you're a striker. Get up there and try and do something in the second half. So I go up the park, I think Parleen put up the goal back, I got an equaliser, I think Cutty Young scored the winner. So we'll beat them 3-2. So we'll walk in the dressing room, and Big Jock's walking towards me again. I went, oh Christ, here we go. I was holding my throat like that. And he came over and he had 2 hands and he gave me the biggest kiss I've ever had in my life. I mean, he would probably get the jail for that now, when I think about it. But that's what managers are. It's all about motivating you and getting you going. And he certainly was the best motivator. But there are times where he was a wee bit rough with you. Nowadays, players I don't think could handle that. They're too precious now, players, aren't they?
Anyone else got a question?
Okay, that's fine.
We've got one over.
Oh, there's a wee lad up there. Wants to go. He's got his hand up.
Up here. No, come over there.
You
Right.
just want to go to the toilet or what? Is that what it is?
Have you, yourself? You
No, the wee lad wants a question.
got a question?
Gregor's good keeper when he's like really good.
Alan
Was
McGregor.
that- Alan McGregor's good. He's the best goalkeeper in Scotland, son. That's what he is, yes. Well done, well said.
What's your name and what's your question? Is it yourself?
My name's Jacob. If you go back to football again, would you do it? If you go back to play for Rangers now, would you do it again?
Absolutely, I wish I could.
All over.
I'm 38 now, you know, I'm a wee bit past. Maybe 38 stone, right enough, eh? But listen, it's the greatest thing in the world. If you can play football and get paid for it, there's nothing better in your life, son, honestly. That's why when I see some of the kids, you've got a chance in life and they throw it away stupidly. You know, there's a lot of money to be made. Never mind everything else that goes with being a footballer. You can make a really good living if you only buckle down and listen to what people are saying to you.
Anyone else got a question? You got a question? What's your name first?
David Fisher. The day you signed for Rangers,
Yes.
was I believe you were going on a school cruise or something. The Nera
Oh, you've been doing your homework,
Was it
haven't
true
you?
you had a wee Celtic bag over your shoulder that day?
I certainly did not, no. Although I have to admit, that is the story. I mean, Jock Steen came into my house in Dundee. He wanted to sign me for Celtic. And I've got 6 brothers. Couldn't help it. My mother was sort of half deaf. My dad used to say, "You want to go to sleep or what?" So, but, exactly. So Jock came into my house. He said, "Would you like to play for Celtic?" And my older brother said to him, "Look, before you get that," he said, "is there any signing on fees that he gets before us? Because you're right, there was a school cruise on, and we couldn't afford to go on it. So my brother's thinking, if we get a few quid from him, you can go on the cruise." So Jock said, "No," he said, "we've just won the European Cup. We don't have to pay kids to come in." My brother said, "Well, we'll get back to you." And I kid not, about half an hour later, the Rangers scout came in. He says, I've been waiting outside." He said, "I saw Jock Steen coming into your house." He said, "I bet he's offered you a fortune to sign." And I was just about to say, "Well, no." My brother went, "Oh, yes, oh, fortunes. Oh, this is unbelievable, the sort of money that he's offering." So we're now talking about 1968, 69. And he offered me £2,000 for myself and £2,000 for my mother. Now, that might not sound a lot of money nowadays, but the weekly wage then was only about £28. You know, people were earning that sort of themselves, a lot of money. So my brother said, "What do you think, Derek? Do you want to sign?" I said, "I'm signing." So about 3 days I signed for Rangers. A week later I went on the cruise and I was sick every day and I hated it. But I was a Rangers player and that's what mattered.
Yes.
True story. Oh,
Well, I've got something for you. I think you've seen this one before.
I want to see the egg that goes in there.
How much whiskey can that hold?
I've no idea. I don't drink whiskey. I'm not a whiskey man.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, give a massive fan zone round of applause for Derek Johnstone.
All right, enjoy the game today. Hopefully we get a win anyway. Thank you.
Of course, you can go over there and meet Derek right now. We've got a couple of the academy players coming on the stage. We've got a few questions for them as well.
Give me voice.
Put on the now, then. Got to get there, boys. Do you think you maybe get a chance in the season for the competition?
You're welcome, sir.
I hope so. All the guys in the team have kind of been amongst it, so I think just keep working hard and definitely the opportunity.
We'll give this question to you. How did you get into the youth setup? What was the process?
All right, my friend. Very well.
Well, it started just playing in my local team. And then also when the scouts came and saw something.
Oh, yeah. We'll miss this game.
Candice, Kent and Defoe up front. Your sub today is Ingo, first Harley, captain, Koulibaly, Middleton, Tolstoy, England Stadium today as well, and Lafferty, who's scored that. The line-up on the left-hand side here.
Guys, we're getting hemmed in here. If you can let us out, please. It's nowhere to go. Okay, excuse me, please.
Okay.
Douglas. Nice to meet you. All the best. Right. Philip, you watch you don't fall off. I'm okay.